Hello, welcome back to the Keep Looking Up podcast. I am your host, Caroline Kraddick. I hope you guys had a spooky Halloween. I love living in my new neighborhood in Austin because they go all out. There is a block party a couple streets over where people have live music in their front yards while kids are trick-or-treating. It's the most Austin thing ever. It's so fun. Very contagious. So I hope you guys had a really great weekend too. This is going to be a little bit longer of an intro because I want to make sure I get all of the information in. And then I have a really fun announcement at the end of the intro. So just bear with me. So I am so thrilled to introduce you guys to one of my really good friends, Lizzy Chesnut Bentley, in today's episode. She is the founder of City Boots, which is my absolute favorite boot line in the world. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me wearing her boots. I talk about how I discovered her about in 2017 when I was still living in Nashville. I talk about it later in the podcast. But what's fun is, in Texas, we wear a lot of cowboy boots and that's kind of the way of life, but they're so fashionable in the last few years. There's so many celebrities that have been wearing them in their street style photos. You'll see the TikTok girlies in New York City wearing them. And a lot of them are wearing city boots. So they're not just for Texas girls anymore. So as you guys know, with my story, with losing my dad unexpectedly, why I started this podcast was I wanted to talk to other people who had been through tragic situations or faced adversity and gotten through it in a way with grace and that made them even more successful. And Lizzy is the true definition of that. That is her story. So she quit her corporate job in 2015, which was a huge deal, to risk it all to start this boot line. And she talks about why in the episode. And all the it girls that I knew in Texas were talking about them. But then she really, really exploded in 2019 until now. And we talk about the catalyst for that in this episode. And it wasn't from something positive. I'm going to let her tell the story. She tells it so beautifully. But instead of letting this tragedy ruin her life and cause her to quit her business and go back to corporate life and go back to her comfort zone, she threw her entire being into growing this business in honor of her loved one. And it made her even more successful. And it's kind of a bittersweet story, but more importantly, it gave her a purpose during a really horrible time in her life. And it's a really beautiful story. And Lizzy has never talked publicly about this. And I am just so honored that she felt comfortable enough with me and with you guys, my listeners, to share her story. Her bravery and her strength is so inspiring. And I really, really cherish her as a friend and as a business owner. And I know a lot of this will resonate with you. And I know you guys will really just admire her resilience. So the sweet part of all this, it was so brave of her to share her story, but what's even braver is that she's going to do a giveaway with us for the podcast. So she's giving away a pair of city boots of your choice. You guys have probably seen these boots. The ones that went viral are the pink ones with the hearts on them, or any of them with the hearts on them. And you're doing well when Amazon is doing knockoffs of your boots, but you can tell the Amazon ones are just they're so busted compared to hers because so much goes into making the leather. And there's a level of femininity about these boots because you can kind of feel clunky wearing cowboy boots sometimes. And these are just so flattering and gorgeous. And like I said, they're valued at $950. These are not cheap boots. So she's going to do a giveaway. All the information is on my personal Instagram at Caroline Kraddick, and you can get all the info there. But all you have to do is follow Lizzy at Lizard Boots, and then follow City Boots at City Boots Official, and then follow the podcast, which I hope you're already doing. But if you're not, it's at KLU Podcast. And just comment what your favorite part of the episode was to enter. And we'll make sure that you're following everyone. And then we will pick a winner this week. So be sure to check back to see if you won. Oh, also, I was going to tell you guys, for the wide calf girlies like me, they fit. You don't have to worry about that. And like I said, they're actually flattering. So they fit for everyone. Make sure your friends enter. This is a huge deal. She doesn't do these giveaways very often. So thank you, Lizzy. Obsessed. Love it. Okay, so without further ado, let's welcome Lizzy Chesnut Bentley to the podcast. I'm just gonna get stronger. I'm just gonna get stronger. Okay, so Lizzy and I are both Texas girls. Lizzy grew up in Amarillo. What was it like growing up in Amarillo? And tell me more about your family growing up, Lizzy.
I'm the oldest of three. We're girl, boy, girl. Okay. We're all 2 years apart. My parents are both from smaller towns. And so Amarillo was kind of the bigger city for them to land in. But honestly, Amarillo is probably the best place to grow up. It's just super family oriented.
Are both your parents from Texas originally? Like what generation?
Yes, they are. My dad is from Dalhart and my mom is from San Angelo.
Okay, so
Texan
to the core. Yeah. And then tell me more about where your obsession for cowboy boots came from, because I know it kind of stemmed from your grandpa, right?
Yeah, actually both of my grandpas were, well, in that world, cowboy boots are just a daily staple.
Yeah.
So it was kind of just something that was built in. I do remember, like, one of my first memories is my granddad taking me to Boots and Jeans on Georgia Street in Amarillo and buying me a pair of pink cowboy boots. And I had to get some spurs with those.
Hang on 1 second. I'm sorry.
No.
There we go. Okay, go ahead.
So my granddad took me to Boots and Jeans. We got my first pair of pink cowboy boots. I got a pair of spurs to go with them. And so I was just that little girl who never took her boots off. I think, I don't know what that is, but that was definitely me, like running around naked in cowboy boots as a toddler.
And I would say that maybe you still do that.
Not confirming or denying.
And just a little background too on how Lizzy and I met. We were anointed friends, in my opinion. But my best friend Bailey, who Lizzy met a couple weekends ago here in Austin, came to visit me in Nashville with her friend from Houston, Sammy. And Sammy had on these insane red knee-high cowboy boots. And this was like in 2017, I think. And I had never seen a pair of boots like that were so beautifully made for a woman, because a lot of the time, all that TLC that goes into beautiful cowboy boots goes into men's boots, and then women's boots can be left looking either like super country or just not as well made. And I remember being like, who does these boots? And she told me about you. I'm not sure how she even found you, but she said because she had like a size 11 foot too. And she was like, we had issues trying to get my boots, but I was texting the owner and she was helping me get the right size and fit. I was like, you were texting the owner? She said, it's a woman business. So that's how I found out about you. This was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I know that was a big part of what brought you to your journey, was just like also not having the best cowboy boots that were fashion forward, because you're a fashion girl. And so I'll let you I'm not going to tell your story for you, but tell me about when you went to SMU.
You kind of got it going. But it was actually, so like I said, I was always wearing boots as a little girl, and it kind of became, I always like to have a little bit of a fashion edge. That was just natural. I don't know really where that came from. Both my parents are into dressing, they both have their unique dress styles, so it probably came from them. But then I went to school in Dallas, and it's pretty common for Texas girls to wear cowboy boots in college. But at SMU, it's a lot of out-of-state girls. So I would wear my cowboy boots around, and my new friends on the hallway who are from, Atlanta, California, even very Southern people or very non-Southern people, and none of them knew where to buy cowboy boots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the initial idea came from, because they would always come to me and ask me, where do I buy cowboy boots? And so I think too, I always like to be a little different. And so I saw that that was something that made me different, and I kind of latched onto it. When you're that age, you're kind of trying to figure out who you are. And that was something that I thought was cool and was helpful for other people, but there wasn't a good place for me to send them to. I was buying all my boots on like Etsy or what's that? Buffalo Exchange.
Oh, dang. Yeah.
On Greenville over in Dallas.
Yeah.
That's where I bought like my favorite pair in college. But they were mostly vintage boots, and you just can't find that style anymore. And that's where the original inspiration came for city boots.
And for those of you that don't know, Lizzy's not like a fashion girl. She was oil and gas at SMU, and you were also the president of the Oil and Gas Club SMU. Yeah. And so that wasn't really going to be your trajectory, was going into this boot business. You were going to oil and gas and finance, right?
Yeah. And I started my career there for, I guess, 4 years. So not too long, but I was president of the Oil and Gas Club at SMU. I was in the alternative asset management program, which was like this program where you learn how to go work at hedge funds, which in hindsight was really never a good fit for me.
Right.
So like where I am is way more authentic to myself, but I did enjoy learning about those things. And I do apply a lot of those things in owning a business.
I was going to say, it's probably, I feel like you probably learned enough in those 4 years to help you with
just
business.
Looking at, how do you look at growing a business? Because you can have an idea, but building a brand and growing a business and doing that in a responsible financial way, you need to have some type of kind of intelligence about those things.
Yeah, of course.
Knowledge. So
tell me what happened then. So you were in Houston working with Halliburton doing finance.
Yes. I was just an analyst, a lowly analyst in their mergers and acquisitions group, but I had a great group there. And it was like a program where you left after 2 years. And so then I took a job with an oil and gas company in Dallas, had a great experience there. 2 totally different experiences. And then it ended up December of 2015, when oil was just going down, 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 down. I ended up getting laid off, but I had already started City Boots as like a side hustle.
Oh, okay.
And so everything was ready to go. Like the timing could not have been more perfect.
Yeah, it was.
Timing is a big theme in my life and in City Boots, like the reason City Boots is even what it is. But that I had, gotten final samples in a week before, and the timing just couldn't have been more perfect. So I was like 24, 25 years old, single, had saved a little money, and I was like, okay, well, I have nothing to lose at this point. I'm not going to find another oil and gas job at this oil price.
Right.
And so I just jumped in.
And you went to Mexico.
Well, I'd already been going to Mexico. So my mom, the story about going to Mexico is pretty funny. So I would take like my vacation days and go seek out like manufacturers or work on my business. With my vacation days. But the first time I went down there was, my mom has always been a huge supporter of, my dreams. And I have the best mom in the world. And she was like, all right, Lizzy, let's go. So we went down and we kind of just started knocking on doors. And we actually went to a shoe convention and started talking to people, and we didn't speak any Spanish.
Oh my God.
We didn't know anything about the shoe business, but it's just like jumping in. You just have to jump in.
Yeah.
You're interested, and you'll learn
As you go.
as you go. Yeah. Which is definitely what we've done.
But that must have been so scary, not knowing that, especially since you had that job and just doing it as a side hustle. It's like, if it doesn't work out, at least I have this other job helping me with my security. Like how did you handle that?
Well, I always say to people, they're like, that's so brave of you to go and do all these things. But I can't really say if I ever would have been brave enough
To do it.
to leave my job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like super thankful for that experience in my life. And I have so much respect for people who are willing, because it's hard to know when to step away.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me, 2 to 3 years to get to the point, because I wasn't doing it every day, to get to the point where I was able to like actually have a product to
Sure.
sell.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't really have good advice on that, but it was very handy that I had a product ready to go, with the timing of that process can take longer than expected.
So you were set up for success, luckily.
Yeah. And I think too that, I don't know, I thought it was fun. It was a creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
I didn't really view it as scary at all. I viewed it as, I'm working hard for this money that I'm making, and I'm taking that and I'm investing in myself and my future, rather than because I did things like I bought my website, and that was like, I can't imagine not having cityboots.com.
Right.
Which I would have rather had a handbag.
Of course.
But I bought my website instead. And so I just viewed it as like investing in my future. I thought if this doesn't work out, I'll still learn something.
Okay, I was going to ask you what was your mindset for that? Because I know a lot of people don't even get started because they're so afraid of what's going to happen. So I was going to ask you, what if someone was thinking about.
My dad really helped me with that, because my dad's an entrepreneur as well. So I think, and he's a risk taker. And so he kind of helped me think through, how do you think about taking this risk? So, the first order we did was like 50 pairs of cowboy boots. And he's like, okay, you're paying X amount for these cowboy boots. Worst case scenario, do you think you can sell these boots, at clearance for what you paid for them?
Right.
And I was like, yeah.
And you thought that because of like your Facebook following too, right? Didn't you put it on Facebook?
Yeah, I kind of started an Instagram before. I did put out one pair of boots I sold before I left my job left me. I put out a Facebook. I already had a website. I was really interested in like the e-commerce thing.
Yeah.
So I built a website. I had a Facebook group, an Instagram page. I was very interested in that world. And this was probably 8 years ago now.
Right.
So this was right at the beginning when Instagram was really becoming a place for brands to, show what they're about. And so we were kind of at the very beginning of that revolution, and have been writing that the whole time. But it's
crazy. It's amazing.
It is. Yeah. And I'm thankful for another thing on timing. Like right now to get in would probably be a little harder, but I think there's still so much room for anyone.
There is, but it helps that you've planted that seed and you know how it works, because it just keeps getting bigger and better every day. So it's a lot easier that you've been in the game and you know how it works already,
Yeah. How about you with your like following and your brand? How long have you been doing?
I fell into this stuff. Our stories are really similar. Like the timing for all my stuff too. I was 23 and I was working at an ad agency job that I didn't love. And I wanted to be performing. I wanted to do other things. And then within a week, the guy I was seriously dating broke up with me. And I found out he was cheating on me. And then my dad passed away. So it was like my whole world collapsed at one time. And I was able to do what I needed to do because I didn't have that job anymore. I'd gotten fired from that job.
Mhm.
literally the week before my dad died. So it was like, I so relate to that because I truly feel like God or the universe, however you want to look at it, like clears your plate when you need it to be cleared. And that takes so much hindsight looking back. Like while you're going through it, you're like, I just lost my job. Like, what am I going to do? I just lost my dad. I just lost my husband. I just lost my boyfriend. Like, you know, it's all this stuff of like, you obviously can't see it when you're going through it, but
yeah. And there's something about kind of like, it's not like rock bottom because it's not, I don't know, not like in a substance abuse kind of way, but like when you really have nothing to lose, I just feel like it gives you more like gumption to take risks.
Totally. Yeah. Because you literally have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Exactly. Yeah. So because I kind of, to answer your question, I fell into this stuff like kind of on accident. I never really thought. Now looking back, probably if I had had a different trajectory, I probably would still be in the same place because this is like what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. But I fell into the influencer thing, and I've definitely seen like, back in 2015, it was way less about community. Now I feel like Instagram is all about community, and
I love
people, which is amazing because like I've seen so many things where I saw a TikTok the other day of this person who works for a brand, and she said this one Instagram influencer was really wanting to work with my brand. She had 20,000 followers. I didn't want to work with her because I didn't think she was big enough. Finally, she threw her a bone and sent her some product nobody wanted. It sold out instantly. And she said, that's because this woman had a community. It doesn't matter the followers you have. It matters how connected they are to you. Yeah. And with your brand, what I love
as well.
Yes. And like, that's what I love about your brand too, is you don't just show the boots, you show like, and I truly feel like, and this is not me blowing smoke up your ass because you're my friend, but City Boots is a lifestyle to me. And that's how you portray it and it really is a lifestyle that like so many girls relate to, especially like I'm seen as a city girl, but I'm born and bred in Texas, and I want to wear the boots and I want to be fashion forward. And you share that lifestyle with your followers, and that's one that's like super intoxicating and you want to be a part of, but it's also attainable. So I think that's also why I've seen so many people gravitate towards you, because I've known of your brand for years, but I've seen, especially, which we need to talk about, during the pandemic, like more than ever, everyone was wearing your boots. Everyone.
Wild.
What happened with that? How did that come to be?
Well, I think multiple things. Kind of obviously the pandemic, we were e-commerce. So we were set up to be ready for that e-commerce wave that people just, I've been really big about having reliable shipping, having good online customer service channels, and
great communication with your customers too.
It's never perfect, and I'm sure I have customers out there who are like, well, I didn't get that, but like we really do focus on that, and it's really important to us, and that's a really important thing about owning an online shoe company, because people really want to try it on, and I'm thankful we've had success of, we have free shipping both ways, like different little things that we add in that make the buying experience a little better.
Well, that's what I was telling you, like truly. And that was back when you started your business, but still the same level of communication. Like if I have an issue, I can send the boots right back. You're sending me another pair in a different size. Like you can tell there's a lot of personal detail that goes into it, which is what so many brands lack and don't have the luxury to do. But you're still like so much in the day-to-day stuff. You can tell more about that. Like, do you have a team? How does that look like? Because I'm big on, I've had so much help along the way, and I feel like people don't talk about the people that have helped them and influenced them. Do you have a team of girls? I know you have a team of girls that's working with you that are badass, but tell me more about like the women that you work with.
Yeah, I have a great team. And if we can kind of go back to what we were talking about before, because this has to do with it. Well, okay, hold on.
Do you want me to segue into this?
Yeah. I was thinking like the other piece of my success during COVID was me basically pouring more of myself into it.
Okay. Well, I'll segue into that.
Okay.
So I think you attribute a lot of your success in the pandemic because of a tragedy that happened to you before the pandemic. You were able to kind of pour all of yourself into your company. And I know, and this is, I'm really thankful Lizzy feels safe enough with me to talk about this because she hasn't talked about this yet, but Lizzy was married, and I'll let you tell the story. And she suffered a tragedy, which was a huge catalyst to kind of pouring herself into her company. But I'll let you go ahead and kind of explain what that looked like.
So kind of touching on a couple of things we've already talked about, like the importance of timing in our lives and risk taking, and why over the last few years we have seen so much growth. And I would attribute, it's one of the things that I love about being an entrepreneur, because you really get to see, like, the harder you work, the more successful you can be. And like you mentioned, I lost my husband almost 3 years ago. Suddenly 5 months into our marriage, and the last 3 years have been so crazy. It's like such a roller coaster. But I'm so thankful that I had City Boots, because not only like did it give me something to emotionally focus on that's productive and fun and exciting, because like people are always so happy when they're coming to buy cowboy boots.
Of course.
But also really just something to focus on.
And again, like
I provide for myself.
Exactly.
My husband was like,
Can you talk about more of your love story? Because I remember seeing you like in 2019, we were at the Fort Worth Rodeo, and you were married 2018, right?
Yes.
And he passed in
April 2019. So we were only married for 5 months.
5 months. So I saw you 2 months before he passed. You were a newlywed. And I remember because we're the same age. And I remember saying to you, like, I'm starting to get a little beat down. Like, I haven't found anyone. And you were like, just keep your head down and keep, just looking for that person, because I have spent so much time, and then it happened so fast. And so to go from that conversation to 2 months ago, him being gone, like, it's so hard to wrap your brain around too.
It is. Yeah. Well, so I actually met him at the job that I was at before I started City Boots.
Okay.
But we never started dating until after I left. And I always think that, he was right under my nose the whole time. And I neither one of us ever pursued it. But I also think that a lot of that has to do with me not really living probably an authentic life to myself. And so it was right when I started City Boots that we met and started dating and fell in love. And I think there's something there.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's cool. And yes, we were only married 5 months, but it's something I would never trade, just because knowing just that feeling of wanting to commit your life to somebody is just really special. And
your mindset's beautiful. Even when I saw you a couple of weeks ago, I asked about your dating life and stuff, and you have such a positive mindset on it. And I feel like so many people would view this as such an earth-shattering, and it's earth-shattering to lose someone that you found the love of your life. You're married to that person for such a short amount of time. And it's like giving me chills. I'm just thinking about, with all the timing in your life and with how everything's happened, I can't wait to look back, even probably 2 years from now, and just be able to put all the pieces together. Yeah. And I know you're already starting to do that. You're already kind of being able to see like why this has happened, and look at what even happened as the catalyst of his passing. Like, you probably wouldn't have poured your whole heart into.
City Boots would never be. It's so crazy. And I think a lot of times people are like, how did you do that with City Boots? And I'm like, well, you
it's
don't
the
know.
literal worst thing in the world happening to me.
And really, it's true.
Yeah.
Not to say it wouldn't have happened eventually, but I think that without like the social distractions, like really in grief, like I know that grief, like you just kind of go into your own world for a little while, and it kind of teaches you a lot about who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you like confidence to go out into the world and not care as much about what people think, because you really have a great understanding that life is not forever and we never know when our time is up. And so you may as well be living your best life today.
Yeah.
And it's not easy and it's a journey, but it's in a weird way kind of a beautiful thing too, to experience.
It's beautiful. Well, and I've just heard I'm grieving, like,
I'm
just grieving for you. I just think also I read this thing about grief the other day where it's like it's just a constant reminder of how much you love someone. Mm-hmm. And that's a beautiful thing, it's just you're physically missing them so much that it's causing you grief. And a lot of people don't ever experience love enough to have that, and that's terrible to think about, so it's just, I think even now, like me being touched by this is because I've been through something. You get touched, and so it just makes you more tender. It makes you realize, like, we don't have the luxury of, I have a lot of friends who have not experienced grief and they haven't experienced loss, and there's a difference between those people and people that have. Like, we have this heavy, it's almost a burden of grief, but then it's this like understanding and knowing that life is so short and that we just have to enjoy it more and we can't sweat the small stuff,
Yeah. And I remember people telling me, like, early on in my grief too, that like, you're going to understand, or you're going to live a better life because this happened, that kind of thing. I'm like,
yeah, right.
I don't know about that.
Right.
But it's taken me, and everybody's timeline is different because it's all different losses. Even if we lose the same person, like the relationship's different. So even if, and so it's taken me 3 years to get to that point where I'm able to think of Will in a way, and it's not every day, but think of him in a way that like warms my heart and doesn't like break my heart, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's been a long journey with a lot of support.
Well, it seems like you have great women. Does he send you any signs? Do you have anything that
I have, he sends me lots of signs. Like, it's rare now, especially in the beginning. There were a lot of signs and dreams and those kinds of things that, like, honestly are so healing. Mm-hmm. But I've been really drawn out in nature. Have you been that way since losing your dad, or right after? Did you? Yeah. Nature is like so healing. It's amazing.
It is. Yeah. Animals and nature. Yeah.
And so, like, for me, Will always, I don't really think like it's him, but I've had a couple encounters with hawks.
Oh, interesting.
And like, they will get so close to me. It is so weird.
Really?
And they show up at like the craziest times. So I'm like looking out the window, like,
to see if one comes. I know that's truly, for anyone that's lost anyone, that's the most relatable. My dad is butterflies and used to be pennies. I don't know if I look for the pennies as much as I look for the butterflies, but butterflies constantly. Like at any big moment in my life, I'll look and there's a monarch butterfly. And it's almost comical. It's like,
yeah, and it's like the monarchs are supposed to be like down south right now.
Right. Like you shouldn't be in my backyard. Right. Yeah. You shouldn't be like hovering around me at all times. It's kind of crazy.
I get that. I really do. It's kind of crazy.
I feel like, who's to say, but I don't know. I have this intuition that City Boots is going to take you in so many, already has, but it's going to continue to take you in so many places. It's going to broaden your horizons in so many ways. Who knows what this is all going to be for? Like, if this City Boots could be
And there's
Such
like
a
not an end
huge-
destination either. Like I
Right.
think I kind of realized that too when learning about grief. It's like really about enjoying the small wins or the tender moments or just opportunities that come your way and enjoying them as they are there rather than thinking about what's next.
And that's a huge thing. I think that separates people who have lost someone too. It's like that timeline. I literally, this happened to me yesterday. I got a question on Instagram. Are you concerned or worried about timing and finding someone and having children? Since they didn't say getting older, but I assume that's what they meant.
Oh wow, that's subtle.
And I said,
Like, yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
yeah, I'm stressed. We're stressed. Okay. No, but I said, I don't, because my life has been different than everyone. Like we all have different lives. It's not, everything is on my own timing. I didn't have a normal 20s because I was dealing with a loss, and like, I didn't date the way I would have in my 20s. Like I'm kind of doing that now. And that's okay. And same with you. A lot of people get married in their late 20s, they get divorced, stuff happens, like shit happens. I'm not going to sit here and stress and try to make a 5-year plan.
You know, when I met Will, I had finally decided, like, I'm not dating this summer.
Of course.
And I am not kidding. A week later, I ran into him
Of course.
at the golf course. And I was like, oh, there's Will Bentley, who I used to work with, you know, and I'd always enjoyed his company at work. And so I went over and talked to him. And then I was kind of like, oh, he's cute. And
but
then
you wouldn't have,
and I still held true to it because I really did establish, like, I'm not dating this summer. I'm not dating this summer. And so I held true to that. And I think it gave our relationship the space it needed to kind of be natural. And I would still see him, but I was traveling with my family and my friends and focusing on my business. And I just think that's, of course, everyone always says that.
well, it's, but now it's less about like, oh, when you're not looking, it'll happen, that's true. But and this is,
I think you kind of have to be looking a little.
You have to look a little, but I think it's more about just, and this is cheesy because it's topical right now, but like living authentically, you'll draw the person you're supposed to be with. You probably wouldn't have dated him because you guys work together too. And so it's like, you were off doing your thing and starting your business and with your friends and traveling. And that just makes it even more appealing for the right person to come in and want to join your life and add to it, you know?
100%. Yeah.
And that's going to be so attractive, obviously, for your next partner. Cause you know, you're focused and you have your own thing going on. You're not sitting around waiting for that phone call.
Yes.
That's nice. Now we're talking about dating. Here we
I
go.
know. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Period. Anyway, let's go back to talking about the people who have helped you along the way.
Yes, I do want to talk about that. And that has to do with too, like the support I was talking about and the risk taking. Like bringing somebody onto your team does feel like a huge risk because you're A, letting go control, B, you're spending money. But I kind of got to the point right after Will died where A, I needed to actually treat my business like a little more seriously because I needed to pay the bills.
Right.
Thank goodness I had it. I every day thank God for that. And then B, I needed help because I was seriously grieving. And so after he died, I gave myself a year. I just decided I'm going to give myself a year to not to do whatever I feel like I need to do, like not in a reckless way, but if I want to take off on a Tuesday and drive out to Big Bend, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to feel guilty for not working.
Yeah.
And so my first hire was a person that I never met, but she was a marketing girl and she helped just give my business marketing structure. And that made a huge difference for us. And then from then I've just kind of consistently hired when I felt myself getting bogged down by something that was impeding with my grief or the things I needed to do to like keep my sanity. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's time. And I've been lucky to find the most amazing crew. They're smart, they're fun, they're like diehard City Boot girls,
Yeah.
and it's just, yeah, we've had a really good. So I've got 3 full-time and a few consultants that help me out here in Fort Worth. And yeah, and we're we're always hiring, so.
Well, you know where to call her, y'all. If you need a job, I want to work for City Boots. Okay, I want to play a little quick game. It's not a game, it's more of something that I did before. So I'm trying to incorporate this new thing, and I haven't had the right person to do it yet with. And I think you're the person.
Oh, I love games.
I want to know, I'm going to tell you what I think, but I want to know who, this is a good question. 2 random celebrities.
Okay.
They had sex and they made you.
Oh, like
Who
my
are your
celebrity mom and dad?
Your celebrity mom and dad. Not like if your parents were celebrities, who would they be? Like your 2 celebrity people made you.
Or like, who would I want to be my mom and dad?
No, like who?
Oh, like, who am I like?
Mine is Elton John and Ina Garten. So like, because I'm theatrical, but I'm also in the kitchen. Like those 2 people had sex and made me.
Oh, I love
think I have an idea in my head. I want to hear who you think.
Okay. Oh, that's so funny.
And it can also, because yours came into my head, it can also be a fictional character.
Oh, a fictional character. I want to hear yours, because
I'm
not good on the spot.
Okay, I know.
Celebrity follower.
You can think about it. Your dad is like either a John Dutton or like a George Strait, or maybe even a George Bush.
Oh,
like I
love all of those.
I'm seeing like stoic Texas man for
that
your
is
dad.
Exactly who my dad is. As a matter of, well, he's obviously not actually them, but that
vibe.
Yes, 100%.
And then I'm seeing for your mom, I'm seeing like a Jenna Lyons, like some like Vogue, Anna Wintour, like kind of like more stoic fashion queen vibe.
My mom, I would say my mom is Diane Keaton.
Oh, I love that even better. Yeah. Love that even better.
Yeah, I mean, that is my mom. Every time I see Diane Keaton in a movie, because she kind of plays the same character.
Yeah.
And I actually have heard her speak before, and I just think that is my mom, like from her style.
I'm obsessed with that.
Yes.
Okay. And that's still the aesthetic. Like that still goes with the fashion-y.
Oh yeah.
It's a look. And
it
then
is a look
with like George.
You're so right.
George Strait or George Bush, like.
Yeah, maybe. I think George Bush and Diane Keaton.
I love that. That is.
Tell them this.
You can actually start using that on your dating profile too.
Oh, okay.
That's a good little icebreaker. Okay, so Diane Keaton and George Bush.
Oh yeah, I love that. That is great.
And then you're an Aries, but are you in astrology at all?
Yeah, I like it. It's Aries season.
It is Aries season. When's your birthday? April
4th. It's coming up.
Oh my God, it's coming up.
Because you said you just had yours.
I'm a Taurus, so
you're right after me.
Yeah, I'm after you.
Kirby are the same.
Oh, is Kirby a Taurus?
Kirby's a Taurus too.
Oh, that makes sense. And
yeah,
Taurus,
right?
Aries energy is really interesting.
Yeah, but it works too.
No, it does. Yeah, I have a lot of Aries is fire. I mean, do you watch any of the Housewives?
I have, but not currently.
Like back in the day, though.
Yes,
Vicky
New York.
And Shannon Bedore, they're like.
Oh yeah.
Aries queens.
I'm very much an Aries.
You are. I can.
Yeah, and I'm like oldest child Aries to the max.
Oh yeah, I can see. Yeah. Miss Thing runs the house a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I also have a little segment called Playlist of My Life. Okay. And it's songs in your life that super resonate with you, or you have great memories with, like maybe a family song that you always listen to. Do you have any songs that like are in the playlist of your life?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, music was a big like grief thing for me. Did you go through that?
Oh, yeah. God.
I would imagine that you're pretty musically.
I had a lot of, piano, crying at the piano.
Yeah. I was like reading poetry and doing all kinds of things that I would never do now, but like, whatever, you just got to do what feels good. But I think like the main song for me in my grief was the Turnpike Troubadours, Pay No Rent.
Oh.
It's such a beautiful song, like the lyrics about like, I know, I'm sorry. But it's just, and honestly, that song's written about a woman, but the character that he's talking about, which I think was his aunt who passed away, was so Will. It was so him. And so it's just a really great song for me. And then it brings me joy now. And then I love Tyler Childers' Universal Sound.
Oh, Universal Sound is so good.
So good. And then like a fun song is like Lizzo, Soulmate. My own soulmate.
Yeah.
I know, love me.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, we're adding it on the playlist.
Yeah.
I keep looking at the playlist. People will love that.
It's good. What about you?
Girl, I've got like.
And I want to hear your celebrity parents.
Oh, well, my celebrity parents are Elton John.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. On my playlist, I've got Stop This Train by John Mayer's on mine. Do you know that song?
I don't know that song. I like only listen to country and Lizzo.
Oh, yeah. Country and Lizzo.
I'm not kidding. It's so bad. Okay.
It's listen to it.
Okay, I will.
It's on his Continuum album, and that album is just like big in my life. It was a big album in my life, but the song's about life going too fast and you want to stop the train and get off, and like I don't want to see my parents get older and stuff. And that song plays around me all the time.
Always popping up. Yeah.
I'm signing a business deal. It's playing in the background of the restaurant I'm at.
Hey, you're on the right path, Caroline.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I love those little signs.
They're so good. They're so
good.
And
they're everywhere if you just listen.
They are. And that's the whole thing too, is why I was wondering about the signs. I had even a weird moment a couple of weeks ago. I was literally getting a lymphatic massage. I was not seeing a medium. I wasn't seeing a psychic. I was getting a lymphatic massage. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I'm a little bit of a medium. And of course, and I'm just feeling like,
damn it, I'm not ready for this today.
Yeah, I'm getting a lymphatic massage. I'm helping my lymph nodes. And she was like, I'm just feeling like there's a lot of people that have crossed that are trying to get your attention and you're not really paying attention. And I was like, yeah, that's it. And then 2 days later, I had a friend that passed probably like 5 years ago. And it was her, clearly, because I talked to about 4 people in the span of 48 hours that mentioned her. And I was like, okay, girl, like I'm here. I don't know what you need to tell me, but I'm here. But I wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't had that on my heart, where that weird lymphatic massage woman was telling me to be more open. But you really do have to look for them. And I know early on, I was just having a conversation with my friends. Like, I know I used to dream about my dad nightly, and I would wake up feeling kind of comforted because I kind of saw him in my dreams. And now it's almost been 9 years for me. So like those dreams are very rare, and I miss it because I forget the tangibility of my dad and like how it felt to like hug him and all that. And that goes away. So it's like, you really need to look for those signs, because otherwise it's really hard. It feels really lonely. And I feel like the signs, people may think they're silly, but I truly feel like they're helpful, and they're real to me, at least in my head.
I think they're really real. And if you talk to anyone who's like been through something tragic, they would agree. And I just don't think that's an accident.
There's just no way. And it's obvious. They're so obvious at the beginning. They're big signs.
And like I was talking about how grief like pushes you into your own little world. It's like a little, I don't know, cocoon if you're able to, which I was able to, but it just kind of opened my eyes to those things.
How do you think that's going to change? Like, how do you think that alone time and dealing what you've dealt with in that way is going to change like who you are? Does that,
It's already changing. I'm kind of going through that right
Yeah. So
You
like,
know how like
what's
grief,
that like?
like grief is something in the beginning, and then 6 months later it's something different, and then 6 months later it's something different, and you're really just like only just biting off what you can chew.
Right.
And suddenly you look up and you're kind of a different person. I think for me and for you too, it's when something comes so suddenly and it's somebody who's so important in your life. Like for me, my husband, I didn't just lose my husband, like I lost my entire future.
Right.
Um,
Right.
I had to move. I lost like
The promise of this
who I ate
life.
every meal with.
Right.
Like my whole life changed, and it also changed my relationship with every person in my life
Around
because,
you.
because now like people are taking care of me, which is what I needed. And it just changes the dynamic, and you really have nothing to give back, and it just changes the dynamic of the relationship. And some people are very close and some people are further away, and that's all fine, it's just part of it, but literally everything changes.
Yeah.
And so now I'm settling into that change. Like I moved to Fort Worth, I bought a house, my business is becoming more stable, and I'm able to be more normal in a social setting.
Right. Right. Well, I can't even imagine too having to go straight into the pandemic after that. Like that.
Which I think was a good thing for me.
Maybe you
Like,
needed that
obviously,
time.
like,
Yeah.
I think the pandemic is terrible, but it really, I think it allowed me to catch up socially a little bit, where everyone kind of retreated, because I was struggling with like going to weddings and going to
Yeah.
like that was really hard in like the time right after Will died, and it kind of allowed me to continue to be reclusive, grieve in a meaningful way, and not feel like I was missing out on things around me.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So that, I mean, the pandemic was terrible, and obviously I don't wish it happened, but it did allow me in a weird way to
Feel in the way you needed.
and
Yeah,
so now is the first time I'm going out into the world in like 3 years.
Right. Right. Because you had a year of nothing after he passed, and then it's a pandemic. Yeah.
Which is why I say like I'm going through that right now. I don't really know. I'm definitely different now.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
That stuff changes you, obviously. And it's now that you're more settled, it's gonna get easier, but it's also gonna be, it'll probably be easier for that kind of stuff to creep in too, because you do have a routine, and it is more like precedented times where
Right.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting to see. Like for a while I was very distracted by the business of grieving, like closing out accounts, moving my stuff. And so now I'm kind of settled into my new life. It is going to be interesting to see the next like few years and how I roll into this new stage for sure.
Well, I have all the faith in the world in you. I can't wait to
hoping we can hang out during some of it.
Of course. I'm always wanting to be in the front row watching everything you do.
I know, it was so sweet to come last week to the panel, and yeah.
Oh, you're just so
I always enjoy our time together.
I know. I just love you. Okay, a couple more questions before I wrap it up.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with confidence and how people show up confident and how people build confidence and what that looks like to you. What does confidence mean to you? What does it look like, and how do you gain confidence?
I think confidence to me is not feeling like you have to explain yourself. And trusting your own gut feelings. That to me is what confidence means. And then I'm a quiet confidence person. Like I was very nervous about coming on today, which it's been so, and it's not because I don't know the material, like it's just about me, but I just prefer quiet confidence.
Yeah.
But I think to me, because that's what confidence really is, like being loud and out there, and it can just be overdone.
Well, they sometimes say the loudest person in the room is the stupidest.
And I think that's true a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And also I think something really important about confidence is not being derailed in your life based on what somebody else is doing.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes that's hard. I think when you're out doing something and you look over, I try not to look and just like
You
appreciate.
have to have blinders. Yeah. Like what we were talking about, whether it's business
be able to look over and be like, that's so cool for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I know that I'm feeling confident when I'm able to do that. And I can notice when I'm feeling like negative towards somebody else's, whatever they're doing, whether it's an accomplishment or a relationship, I'm able to be like, okay, Lizzy, get yourself in check.
That's not me. We're not in that same space.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you agree?
I think comparison is the thief of joy. I always have. And I think acknowledging there's a difference between putting your blinders on and just me, staying focused. I think you do need to be aware of the people around you and what they're accomplishing. I think you also want to surround yourself with amazing people who make you want to do better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think comparison is a thief of joy. I think if your trajectory is going where you want it to go and you're on that path, not exactly what you said, not letting those other people, whether it's influence you in, oh, I want to be like them, or, oh my God, I don't have what they have, but also letting their energy affect you is huge too. Like not letting that significant other in your life derail you from your goals too. Or the friend that's bringing you down, like that's all super important too. You have to have people who are supporting you along the way.
I agree. And then about building confidence, I think for me, the thing that's built the confidence the most for me has been my grief. So I don't suggest you go through that. But it gave me the trust in myself that I can know what I need when I need it and that I can handle anything.
And that goes to the bottom line of my trust and confidence. Like to me, confidence is keeping promises to yourself and trusting yourself enough to show up and say like, I've got this. And so for what you said, like exactly right. Grief might've been the catalyst, but it wasn't the grief that made you confident. It was trusting yourself that made you confident.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's huge.
That's a really good way to put it.
You're welcome. I'm just here for all the knowledge. Confucius Caroline, they call me. Speaking of keeping motivated and all that stuff, do you listen to podcasts? Do you have any books that you like to read? Are you into that kind of inspirational stuff at all?
Yeah, I go through phases. Reading is big for me. I've recently started listening to a lot more podcasts because I'm actually co-hosting a podcast with my best friend here in Fort Worth, Kirby, and it's her show and I'm the co-host, and I'm so excited to do something with her.
Yeah.
And be doing something that's besides City Boots. Kind of round myself out a little bit. It's called Curb Appeal.
Curb Appeal, I love that. And Kirby's amazing, y'all. She is she's been in media forever. She's beautiful. She's fun. She's obviously a Taurus, so she's cool.
Yeah, she's a Taurus. You guys are like, meant to be, but she's talk about somebody who's confident and smart, and she comes from a farming family in California, and she moved out to Texas to start her media career, and she's had a super successful career. So I'm excited for her to be stepping out on her own and to be a part of it. And then the other piece of that is our other best friend, Holly, who's going to produce the show.
Oh, I love that. You didn't tell me that part.
Yes. And we just kind of have a funny dynamic. And the thing I love about the three of us is that we hold each other accountable. Sometimes it's hard to find, girlfriends who are going to call you out on things. And so I think it'll be an interesting dynamic on the show, and we're super excited. We're definitely going to want you to come on there and talk to us.
I would be honored. When does it launch?
April.
Yay!
April. So we're in the process of recording our first episodes, and it's going to be fun.
And that will be available everywhere, or?
Yes, it'll be available everywhere. We're going to have a website. We're going to be on Spotify. There's talks of maybe Hulu. So
Amazing.
stay tuned, but you can find us on Instagram for now at Curb Appeal, and it's KRB.
KRB?
Or like Kirby.
Kirby, so cute.
KRB Appeal. KIRB.
KIRB. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
It's spelled, sorry, it's been a
I'm
long
like, is it KRB?
No, KIRB.
KIRB.
Yeah.
Are you a morning routine, evening routine, ritual person? No.
I am traveling a lot, so it's really hard for me to do that. And I do go through phases. So like I work out with a trainer. Kirby and I actually work out with a trainer 2 or 3 times a week in the mornings, and those are good mornings. And then I've been trying to do tea. This is my Bucky's cup.
Oh, that's good. I love tea in a Bucky's cup. I love that.
Bucky's cup, gotta have it. So I do tea, and I've been trying to walk. I'm like a low impact workout person. Like you're never going to find me running, or I would maybe ride a bike, but it just works better for my body.
Yeah.
And I'm more of a creative mind. I don't do great on a routine. I will go crazy on a routine.
I have to have at least something small in the morning that's the same every day. Otherwise I'll go crazy, especially but when you're traveling, it's so freaking hard to have any sort of consistency.
The one thing I do try to do is read for 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night.
That's great.
That's my favorite thing. I think it kind of resets my brain, keeps me from scrolling.
Yeah.
I'll be reading 5 different books at any given time.
Oh, that's good. I love that.
I kind of go with what I'm feeling like, because my interests are so wide.
Yeah.
I'll be reading have you ever heard of the book Braiding Sweetgrass?
No.
It's like a book all about nature and the lessons that nature teaches us.
Oh, I love that.
It's really good if you're into that kind of thing. And then I'll be reading like a biography, or a historical fiction, or a like trash fiction novel, or
so you're super into reading.
Yeah. And I'll go through when I have time, which right now I have time. And so I'm trying to take advantage of that.
Do you read on a Kindle, or do you read books?
Actual books and Audible. So if I'm listening, I'll listen to business books and then read actual books.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
I like that.
Business books, it's like,
I know. Well, it's hard to get in a routine.
Feels like work.
Yeah.
Are you a reader?
I'm a big reader. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big reader.
Well, we need to share reads.
You don't want my shit. I only read self-help stuff. I'm really
I like self-help too. Oh
okay.
Yeah. I like self-help stuff.
Okay. I'll send you some of I'm not a big fiction reader. I never really have been, but give me a good Power of Now or any of those I like.
Yeah. Well, I'll have you weed through them for me.
Okay. Well, did you read the Jessica Simpson bio?
I did read the Jessica Simpson bio. I listened to it.
Okay. That's my advice for y'all is, I know I talked about it on Caroline's Obsessions, but listen to her book on Audible.
So good.
It's not I was bawling.
She's so really inspirational. I love what I took away from that book was, I think when I was in the oil and gas business, I was always out trying to prove myself as a woman and and she's like, no, let them underestimate you.
Yeah.
That's your biggest asset. I'm like, oh, I love that idea.
Yeah. She's genius.
She is. And she's been through so much, and I love that she just put it all out there and got help for the things she needed help with. And now she's running I don't know, a crazy big
$1 billion company.
Yeah, $1 billion company. It's so cool. And she's a Texas girl. We love that.
We love her. Jessica Simpson is chef's kiss. I listened to that Audible driving from Texas to Florida during the pandemic, and I cried the entire way there.
So good. And I was in high school or middle school when her Newlyweds was out.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of grew up on Jessica Simpson.
I know that we have a connection with her, especially being from Texas. I feel like there's just such a connection.
Yeah, I love her though. I'm glad you brought that up.
Me too. Everyone needs to go listen to the Audible. Don't read it. Listen to Audible because she's a Cancer and she's emotional. She's like crying throughout the whole book.
Yeah,
and it made me like my loyalty to her is strong. Don't mess with her. Like John Mayer, if I see you, you're dead to me.
Yeah,
I used to love him too. Okay, my last question for you.
Okay.
What keeps you looking up in life? What keeps you positive? What keeps you moving forward?
I don't really know the answer to that. I've always just been a very positive person, which I think I remember like looking at one of my friends after Will died and saying, well, if anyone can handle this, it's me. I'm like overly positive. My dad will make fun of me because he'll be like, I'll go to visit, I'll go to a wedding and I don't know, somewhere random. And I come back, I want to move there. I love that place. And
yeah.
Dad's like, Lizzy, you love everywhere.
I love everything. Yeah.
You can't live everywhere. But I don't know.
Is that like a faith thing you think you have inherently, or is it?
Maybe I grew up, and I feel like strong and close in my faith, but I don't know. I think it could be like a, growing up in the Panhandle type thing.
That'll do it.
Like those are some tough people up there. They
are.
The Dust Bowl and many other things. And so I believe that those traits kind of work their way down generationally. And so maybe that, but I just like to have a good time and enjoy people. And I think having good people around me makes me want to be better and happier and those kinds of things. What about you?
You're such a good guest. You're like asking me questions too. Oh, you're so sweet.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to work up my practice for.
No, you're doing a great job. You're killing it. I'm like, I'm being interviewed too. I love that. I wish everyone would ask me all these questions. I love having the interactive talk.
Yeah. I didn't know if I was supposed to or not, but
I love it.
Genuinely curious.
No, I know you are. I would say what keeps me looking up is, I think knowing I have my own back and how resilient I have been in the past.
The confidence, it kind of goes back.
Yeah, it goes back to that of like, who knows what else there is to go through in this life. I don't think I've been through the hardest part of my life, unfortunately. I think life is a lot of highs and lows, and I've had a lot of blessings with my loss. I was taken care of in a lot of ways that a lot of people weren't. I think gratitude keeps me looking up. I think always knowing, and also I think being dedicated to growth is huge.
I do too, yeah.
I think if there's no, not to get into like the afterlife talk, but if there's nothing after this, I want to have been the most enlightened, best version of myself. And I think that, and helping those around me do the same.
Yeah. I think you're doing a great job at that.
Well, I think you are too. And it's just, I think we get so caught up in what in the shoulds and how everything looks and how everything's portrayed. And I think like we have a lot going on in 2022 and what we're dealt with. And I think just keeping your childlike curiosity in life is huge, and that innocence, and just, keeping your authenticity is huge in a world where like that's always kind of trying to be taken away from us, I feel like. And that's what I love about you is you're an authentic person, you're super genuine and you show up every day just how you are. And that's how people want to be perceived, and that's the people that you want around you.
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, I agree with all of that. What, Birdie?
That's my dog. That's not Birdie.
She's barking back.
Oh, she's barking back. Yeah, that's mine.
Say hi.
Hi, Birdie.
That's the reason why I just get up out of bed every morning.
I know, the animals make it so much easier. Is she a mini?
She is. She's a toy, actually.
She's a toy Aussie?
10 pounds. She's
Oh
4
my
years old and she's just got ears that could fly.
She's so cute. That's a good girl.
Looking for that dog. Where is it?
He's downstairs, Birdie, and you don't want
What
him.
kind of dog do you have?
He's an English toy spaniel and he's deranged. My housekeepers are here, which is why he's losing his mind. All right. Well, that was my final question.
Hey, this was so fun. Thank you for having me on.
Good.
Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe and rate. Keep Looking Up anywhere you stream your podcasts. And to stay up to date on all my latest episodes, you can follow at KLU Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or on my website at carolinekraddick.com. And always remember, keep looking up because that's where it all is.